North Korea is a country of mysteries and contradictions. It is hidden behind an iron curtain and surrounded by myths, and its army is one of the most mysterious and intimidating in the world. How does the Democratic People's Republic of Korea maintain such an impressive military force with limited resources and international sanctions? Let's look at the figures that demonstrate the scale and power of the North Korean army. 1,300,000 soldiers, 4,000 tanks, 2,500 light armored vehicles, 50 missile systems, and almost 100 submarines. All this makes the North Korean army one of the most numerous and well-equipped in the world. For comparison, according to various estimates, the United States has between 50 and 60 attack submarines, while Russia has about 70. Nearly 10 million of North Korea's 25 million people are ready to join the armed forces if necessary. 5% of the country's population is in military service, which surpasses even Israel, where both men and women serve. Besides, the North Korean army is one of the most closed and classified in the world, fueling even more interest in its capabilities and strategy. How does North Korea, despite sanctions, manage to maintain one of the most powerful armies and produce modern weapons? What are its troops armed with? Where can Pyongyang's intercontinental missiles reach? What lies at the heart of the North Korean military power? Fanaticism or professionalism? Today we will uncover the military secrets of one of the most mysterious countries in the world. Make yourself comfortable and enjoy the video. Let's go! The Korean People's Army, that's the official name of the North Korean Armed Forces, and this is the most classified army in the world. No one knows its exact numbers. According to approximate data, as we have already mentioned, it's about 1,300,000 fighters. Another 4 million are part of the mobilization reserve. But let's move step by step. How does any military special operation start? Of course, it starts with reconnaissance. The outcome of any war depends on the special forces. What are the North Korean Special Forces? Let's start with the fact that the North Korean Special Forces outnumber the Special Forces of the United States, China, or Russia. There are more than 120,000 soldiers per 25 million people trained to disarm the enemy with any means available, even with their bare hands. The training program for North Korean Special Forces is extremely harsh. During training, only real conditions are used, no simulations, only direct contact. Each fighter learns a wide arsenal of techniques from the Korean martial art of Taekwondo. Smashing a wall with a fist or breaking a neck with a palm strike are all part of the skills of North Korean Special Forces. Another aspect of Special Forces training is psychological training. Any North Korean Special Forces fighter will sacrifice his life for his homeland without hesitation. Suicide fighters with portable nuclear charges shown at military parades are worth a lot. Besides, one incident testifies to the excellent psychological training of the fighters. Have you heard of the Gangneung incident? In 1996, a North Korean Navy submarine on a reconnaissance mission got into an emergency situation. Its engine failed, and the submarine ran aground off the coast of South Korea. The North Korean sailors decided to reach their country by land. The South Korean military organized a large-scale operation to find them, which turned into a real hunt that lasted 49 days. The crew of 26 people showed incredible resilience while enduring several hardships. Almost everyone chose death over captivity, and only one sailor got into the hands of the enemy. However, even the best-trained North Korean soldier can't stop an American tank with a chokehold. So, let's see what North Korea's armored vehicles are capable of. A close look at North Korean armored vehicles reveals that many of them are based on technologies and designs of tanks created in the middle of the 20th century. Models developed in the Soviet Union, such as the T-54 and T-62, were used as a basis. Rumors have it that North Korea is also working on its own unique tanks, but their characteristics remain classified. Instead of speculation, let's focus on well-known models. First, let's take a look at the Chonma-ho tank. Despite its exotic name, it is based on the design of the Soviet T-62 tank. However, this model has been modernized several times. It has undergone 5 stages of improvements, including the installation of laser rangefinders and dynamic reactive armor. Let's talk about the latter in detail. The tank armor was protected by special containers with explosives. When a shell hit such a container, it exploded, thus destroying the enemy munition as well. Such armor is 10 times lighter than steel armor. 1 square meter weighs only 400 kilograms, while a square meter of steel armor weighs 4 tons. But there's one nuance. The explosion occurs directly on the armor of the tank, which causes serious damage to both the vehicle and its crew. To reduce this vulnerability, during the 3rd modification, the tank was equipped with a special skirt of composite armor, designed to protect it from RPGs. This armor consists of a super strong steel alloy supplemented with depleted ceramics and Kevlar. The composite layers are placed between the main armor plates, forming a sandwich-like structure. This protection is very effective against rocket-propelled grenades, but there's not much it can do against more sophisticated threats, such as anti-tank guided missiles. Another element of the Chonma-ho tank defense is smoke cloaking. However, its main disadvantage is that the smoke veil is created not with aerosols, but with exhaust gases. This method is unlikely to protect the tank from modern laser guidance systems. According to military experts, some versions of the Chonma-ho are equipped with thermal imagers and ballistic calculators. These enhancements allow the Chonma-ho to detect the enemy even at night, to operate effectively in dense vegetation, or to detect targets at a long distance. As for the ballistics calculators, they greatly improve accuracy and targeting speed. North Korea has about 1,000 such vehicles. But the Pokpung-ho tank is especially interesting. This model was developed based on Soviet T-72 tanks, which North Korea purchased from the Soviet Union in the 1980s. These vehicles became the basis for its own modified version, adjusted to the requirements of the North Korean Army. Improvement of the Soviet armored vehicle began with the installation of a powerful fire unit. Its basis is a large caliber Vladimirov machine gun with a caliber of 14.5 millimeters. It was developed by Soviet gunsmiths back in the times of the Great Patriotic War. Despite the passing years, this weapon model remains very effective. The rapid-fire machine gun is also an excellent armor-piercing and even anti-aircraft gun. Soviet 2A46 with a caliber of 125 millimeters is used as a cannon here, but it is not suitable for launching missiles, so the Koreans had to place it outside. As for missiles, the North Korean military developed an analog of the Cornet or Fagot missile system for their tank. The only thing left from the old Soviet models is the night combined sight and the passive-active guidance system. The North Korean Army has about 600 such tanks. But how effective will they be on the battlefield? What are their weaknesses? First of all, there are many questions about electronic components. The thermal imaging cameras on North Korean tanks do not yet indicate their high range and resolution. The situation is the same with computing components, and even China cannot help North Korea with them. But let's not forget that the number of North Korean heavy armored vehicles is far from being limited to just these 2 tank models. North Korea also has about 2,000 old Soviet T-55 and T-62 tanks, and their Chinese modifications, which can cause significant problems for the enemy. But the developments do not end there. Does North Korea have its own modern tanks? In recent years, Pyongyang has been developing a new main battle tank, which was named M2020 in the West. In its design, you can see elements similar to the American Abrams tank and the Russian Armata. We know that this is the first North Korean tank equipped with an active defense system. North Korean engineers equip each tank with anti-tank and anti-aircraft missile systems to increase firepower and improve defense against air threats. This is because North Korean military doctrine has always emphasized the need to fight when enemy aircraft dominate the skies. Although North Korea's Air Force is quite numerous, more than 1,000 attack helicopters and airplanes, they even have MiG-29, except that there are not enough qualified pilots. In case of necessity, there will be no one to lift all these aircraft into the air. By the way, did you know that there is a village called Kijongdong on the border with South Korea, created to show its southern neighbors how attractive life is in the north? It was built in the 1950s, when electricity in the countryside was a luxury on both sides of the border. Lights were turned on strictly on a fixed schedule, and soldiers constantly walked in the same rooms and streets, while women cleaned the same windows for 15 years. This village is one of the prime examples of the propaganda game used by North Korea to demonstrate prosperity and peace in its territory. Kijongdong was built to show South Korea, and especially their citizens, that life in the North was much better than in the South, despite the difference in political systems. Later, when technology allowed South Koreans to get a better look at the village, it became clear that the houses in Kijongdong were just empty shells without floors, ceilings, or partitions. Everything looked beautiful on the outside, but inside, there were no basic amenities or real inhabitants. It was just a performance to create the illusion of prosperity. Soon, with the development of satellite technology, South Koreans had more detailed observations of the site, and the magic village could no longer hide its secrets. Today, Kijongdong is a symbol of the political manipulation that has been used for decades to create a false image of North Korea as a prosperous state. Finally, let's get to the most interesting part: North Korea's artillery. The North Korean armed forces use Soviet artillery systems and have an almost limitless stockpile of missiles for Grad launchers. Also, there are tens of thousands of mortars and ammunition for them in the arsenal. Pyongyang pays special attention to artillery. The guns are in service even with coastal military units. The most famous representative of North Korean barrel artillery is the Koksan unit, with a projectile caliber of up to 170 millimeters, something that no other army has in its arsenal. The development of North Korean artillery systems was greatly supported by the Soviet Union. The first guns were delivered to Pyongyang in the 1940s, and North Korean engineers used them to create their own analogs. However, Soviet-made guns remain the basis of the artillery fleet until today. For example, the powerful ML-20 howitzer. This rare weapon fires both on a flat trajectory as a cannon and on a mounted trajectory as a howitzer. But what is most impressive is North Korea's rocket artillery. It is the most powerful and long-range in the world. It's the KN-09 multiple rocket launcher. The caliber is 300 millimeters, like the Russian Smerch, and such a system hits at a record distance of 220 kilometers. Another North Korean strength is missile armament. In recent years, Pyongyang has significantly strengthened its capabilities in this area. Footage of KN-23 ballistic missile launches from railway trains leaked online. This is not just a technological achievement, but part of a unique strategy that provides stealth and mobility. Missile trains equipped with long-range missiles can move across the country, making it much more difficult for the enemy to detect and destroy them. These trains make it possible to quickly change position, eliminating the need for permanent launch stations that can be easily detected by the enemy. In the event of a military threat, missile trains become an important element that enhances the survivability of missile systems. In addition, KN-23 missile systems are highly maneuverable and capable of overcoming difficult enemy defense lines, which makes them a powerful deterrence asset. This system has received widespread attention for its ability to be launched from mobile platforms, which increases its flexibility and effectiveness in combat conditions. Thus, the combination of mobile launchers on railroad platforms and advanced ballistic missiles allows North Korea to effectively organize stealthy and precise strikes, enhancing its defensive capabilities and intimidating power. But despite powerful armored vehicles and modern artillery, they often do not become the decisive factor that allows to dictate conditions on the battlefield. This is when nuclear weapons come into play. What can the North Korean Army offer in this field? Every month, from 5 to 8 ballistic missiles come off the assembly line, which demonstrates the country's significant capabilities in this area. Let's take a look at some of the most powerful weapons in North Korea's nuclear arsenal. The Hwasong-8 warhead, which can reach speeds of more than 6,000 kilometers per hour, is a serious threat because it is difficult not only to intercept it, but even to detect it. What is interesting is that in the development of hypersonic weapons, the North Korean military was ahead of the Pentagon, which tested its ballistic missiles much later. According to experts, China helped North Korea in the development of nuclear weapons, but their military industry didn't stop there and continues to improve its equipment and weapons. Recently, the North Korean military tested a new missile, the Hwasong-16, which attracted the attention of South Korea and the United States. This medium to long-range missile, dubbed the Blooming Fortress, demonstrated impressive capabilities. The warhead reached an altitude of more than 100 kilometers, traveled 1,000 kilometers, and accurately hit the target. It was possible to achieve such a range by replacing the liquid propellant used in previous missiles with solid propellant. Experts say the maximum range of this missile is 6,000 kilometers. North Korea's list of classified missiles continues with the Hwasong-17 intercontinental ballistic missile. It was tested 2 years ago. The missile reached an altitude of more than 6,000 kilometers and flew more than 1,000 kilometers, although military experts say its maximum range is up to 15,000 kilometers. Many people wonder how a small and poorly economically developed country manages to constantly improve its nuclear arsenal and remain among the leading countries with nuclear weapons. The answer lies in several factors. One of them is the constant external threat and effective intelligence work, which contribute to the development of nuclear technologies and the strengthening of defense capabilities. The development of unmanned aerial vehicles also plays an important role. North Korean drone systems, including those dubbed Morning Star, are actively used for reconnaissance missions. However, among them, there are also models designed for strikes. For example, the Satbel 9 drone is equipped with 10 air-to-ground missiles, has a wingspan of 20 meters, and a turboprop engine. The Satbel 4 is a larger module with a wingspan of 35 meters, a turbojet engine, and advanced capabilities for reconnaissance and combat operations. So how effective is North Korea's army? It is really strong, although it lags behind in terms of qualitative indicators. But if necessary, it will be able to resist its enemies. The technical backwardness of the Korean People's Army is compensated by its number, high level of combat training, and fanaticism of its personnel. Every fighter will die for the motherland without hesitation. Also, we shouldn't forget about the terrain. Mountainous terrain prevails in North Korea, and the North Korean military knows how to effectively use it. All this makes the North Korean army dangerous, even for the 3 strongest armies in the world. And for everyone else, it is almost invincible. If you are interested in such topics and would like to learn more, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss new episodes. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next videos.